Welcome to the Rising for Women podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Merlo-Booth, and I believe the world will be changed for women when we change how we walk in it. So each week, we're going to have hard conversations. We're going to explore new options. Some of them are going to be hard options, and we're going to have some real, straight talk. We're going to do that because I have faith that women can handle it. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Rising Podcast for Women with your hosts, Lisa Merlo-Booth, Dee Marcotte, and Arlene Newman. And our topic today is non-romantic breakups. So breaking up with friends in particular, that's kind of a hard one. Let's jump right in. So where do females go awry when it comes to breaking up with, friends?
They don't.
Go ahead.
They don't.
They don't. They avoid it.
They avoid it.
Avoid
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So let's come up with three
indirect.
things. Yeah. So three things. One is they don't. And they don't, why are they not doing it? Why do you think they don't do it? Is that because of longevity? Is that because, they're afraid or?
Well, I think for me, there's some idea that I have in the back of my head that says you're never supposed to break up a friendship. Like it's like, I don't know where it came from, but it's such a strong feeling that I would like push it away and push it away and push it away. I don't want to think about it because not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And your friends in particular, you're always supposed to be supportive with your friends. So, they just don't do it. They avoid the topic. They avoid the thought of it. They just kind of, I'm not, whatever, I can put up with him or her. I can, they can do that. Okay. And they'll
I don't have to see them so often. Maybe I'll see them once a year. Maybe that'll take care of it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I can suck it up for once a year. What's the big deal?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's one. What's another one?
Well, I think one of the things that rather than staying with the discomfort of how I'm feeling about not wanting to have this person as a friend anymore, is I go to talk to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I see that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, but how does that person know anything? It's kind of like, and then those people are like sworn to secrecy.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then what happens with that, like, it's still like when you are with the person, you can feel that like kind of passive aggressive energy. You kind of feel like something's off, but instead of talking to them about it, you talk to everybody else, or you start gossiping, right? Girls, oh my gosh, girls and women are horrific around gossip.
That's very early. How early does that start?
That starts early, and sadly it goes on forever with some women, right? And so there's this, I'm mad at you, so I want everybody else to be mad at you, and I'm going to just get them on my side so I don't feel like the bad person here. And they start gossiping or talking about the issue with everybody else except the person who they have the issue with, which is so hard. That's so hard. It's so unfair to the person who they have the issue with. But we women do this all the time. We've been trained to be indirect. Ugh, yeah. Okay. And what's number 3?
Well, I think the lying and the excuses that happen around that. So, you were both just saying the thing about, well, I'll just see them once a year. So that means if they're asking you to do things other times, then you're coming up with bullshit about why you can't see them or be with them or that sort of thing, Oh, I have this or I have that, or I can't do that because, and it doesn't have anything to do with the truth.
You practice avoidance basically with them.
Well, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think there's a lot of fear that women feel about having to break up with a friend. I think it's very scary.
Yeah. when you just said avoidance, it's funny. What was going through my head is the same thing. I'm like, all three of these are avoidance.
Yes,
Gossiping, I'm not going to have the hard conversation.
yes,
Lying, I don't want to hurt their feelings. Longevity, I'll just stay, and even if I don't like it, I'm going to do it because I don't want to have that hard conversation. I don't want to break their heart, whatever. I don't want them to feel bad. And women do this under the guise of being nice.
yes.
It's not nice. What happens is it gets crazy making, like if you have somebody avoiding you, you have somebody who you were close friends with, you saw all the time, and then now every time you call them, they don't answer, or they're busy, or they can't go to this party or that event or whatever. You start thinking, God, what happened? Did I do something? Is it something I said? What's going on? And then it just feels horrible. It just feels terrible. It is not. So women out there, you are not doing your friends any favors by avoiding conversations, talking to others about the problems, just kind of making up excuses why you can't see it. They feel it. They're like looking at themselves, trying to figure out what happened. And it just is mean and crazy making. And this starts in junior high when girls, all of a sudden they change friends. And then they badmouth the friends who were their best friends. And, we really have been trained to, in many ways, be harmful to other women. And we have to shift that. We got to change that. So, okay, three main things that we see everywhere, sadly, at all ages. I wish I could say once you hit your 30s, you're done, or 40s, you're done, or 50s, you're done, or whatever, you're not. Okay, so how do they do it different? And keeping in mind, like all of us have been taught, and women still, and girls still today continue to be taught the same way, even though we think it's so drastically different. It's really not, sadly. If you are unhappy with a friendship and you want to address this friendship with a grounded, powerful strength, how in the world do they do that? What does that look like?
Well, for me, I'm trying to think back to a couple friends, that one in which we had a friend break up, and the other which we didn't talk to each other for a year and then went to therapy because we were long-term friends, and it was important to us. But I think one piece is to look at what is on my side of the fence with this. They're doing whatever, but how have I been complicit with what's going on? That because if I can see that I had a part in this not working, I'm not going to go off and blame the other person. I can stay more compassionate.
Yeah. And some of that part may be more covert rather than overt. Like maybe your part is silencing and never standing up for yourself. Maybe your part is overdoing, overgiving, and then you feel used, or, so that's a great point. You got like, know thyself. Always, always, always know thyself. Be humble enough to look at your part here. Go ahead, Arlene.
I was actually thinking about shame, and feeling ashamed about what you're feeling with this friend, ways in which you feel disappointed or hurt by them, things that they've done that have really upset you, that you may not want to expose that. And then you will avoid the whole relationship and never really being able to talk about it.
Yeah,
so you have to kind of really work with your own feelings of shame and humiliation to be able to speak up.
Yeah, which is very vulnerable.
That's what I was just thinking when you were saying that. I was like,
Well, and this is the thing that females don't want to do. And that's where powerful change happens. It's like if somebody says something to you and you're wounded by it and hurt by it, part of your work is to have your back and speak to that, right? Not just to walk away and be like, I can't believe you did that. I can't believe she said that. She's such a bitch. I can't, like, no, that doesn't help you. It doesn't help the friendship. It doesn't help her. And so like, we're all like, we're trying to grow, right? So if something happens in the moment, speak to it. If somebody hurts you, speak to it. And if you're at the point where you actually want to leave this friendship, you want to be asking yourself, have I been having conversations all along, or have I just been, you know, taking the hits and being annoyed without ever addressing that? Because in any relationship, you have to learn how to address upsets, or you're going to keep ending every relationship you're in.
Well, and not only that, but the idea that we're saying that this is your friend. And if you can't tell your friend what's really going on, how much of a friend are they?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I think there's thinking about that too, about like,
Right.
why am I thinking they're a friend if I can't do this?
Yeah.
Which I can see from my own, where I had the friend breakup. I had to do a lot of that, you know, because I was the one who I just stayed quiet, didn't say anything, stayed quiet, didn't say my truth. And so when I wanted to do that, my first part was being really pissed at her, because she didn't, and she was, and she, you know, and that whole idea of like, I have to look at this, and I have to look at why I'm not speaking up. How am I not having my back, and why am I not having my back?
All hard work and all going against the grain. But the other thing, grounded, powerful strength, is have the direct conversation in the moment. If you are thinking that you want this, you know, that this, you've outgrown it. Sometimes you just outgrow it. Sometimes you just, you know, you learned a lot, you went into therapy, you didn't go into therapy, whatever. And you have different interests. Maybe you were drinking and partying all the time before, but now you kind of stop drinking and partying, so you don't have as much. Whatever it is, you want to be honest with them and let them know, you know, I love this friendship. It has brought me so much. I'm thankful for it, for if that's true. And I, you know, I feel like I've changed a lot, and we've both are just going different ways, rather than, no, I can't make it. No, I can't make it. No, I can't make it. Oh, I'm busy. Don't do that piece. Don't do that piece. So
easy to do that. It's so easy to do that.
I know. Yeah.
And it's so hard to do the other. I think we have to acknowledge that it takes real intention to do it differently, to be able to follow through on what we're saying here.
I think it's easier if you do it in stages. Like, you know, let's say you cancel a couple and your friend says, hey, you know, I noticed that you've been canceling a lot. What's going on? And then you can be like, wow, interesting. Let me think about that, and I'll get back to you. Because sometimes we cancel and we're not even really, like, we're just not conscious yet about why we're doing that. And then you can go back to them and say, you know what, like, I'd love to follow up on that conversation. I was thinking about it, and here's what I'm noticing. I'm feeling like gradually we've just have different interests, and we've kind of grown apart a little bit. And so that's what and I think that I wasn't really paying attention to that. But when you said I keep canceling, it's just because it feels like we're more distant. That's going to set it up to have an easier conversation 6 months later, when it's like, you know, actually, I'm realizing I actually don't like going to the bars, or I don't like whatever. And so that will help. It takes you being conscious about it. You know, but that's very honoring of them. It's honoring of you. It's honoring of where, you know, where you both are. And that's totally okay.
And then when you don't get the opening, I mean, I think when you have an opening like that, it's definitely easier, but sometimes you don't get the opening, and you have to create the opening.
Right.
And so you have to know that doing that it's really good for you.
Yeah.
It's really having your own back. It's being self-respectful and respectful to the other person.
And the first time you have that conversation, it should be well before you're thinking of ending the friendship. Because if this is a close friend, you should be wanting to work it through with them before you just end it, unless they did something really, really hurtful. And if they did something really, really hurtful, that conversation is going to be, look, you broke my trust and I'm not moving forward, or whatever it is that they did. But if it's been like a growing apart, you want to have a conversation before you actually just end the friendship around, hey, I'm noticing we're growing apart, or something like that.
Or it may also be kind of on that same order, the idea of, like you said, I've been doing this thing where I've been going along with you and I haven't been speaking my truth, that is something then to say, like, you know, I noticed that I'm shying away from saying I now know this about myself, and I haven't been bringing that forward. I've just been playing the same roles, and I've gotten resentful.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea of just letting them know, like, hey, this is something I'm noticing, I'm working on. You know, one of the things I hear from my clients a lot is, I'm always giving, but when I ask them to help me, they're not there. And so with that, I would have a conversation with them and say, hey, listen, I noticed that in a lot of my relationships, I feel like I'm giving when they ask, but then they're not meeting me. And I want you to know, in our friendship, I've seen that pattern, you know, show up with me. And so I'm going to stop, I'm going to pull back. You're going to hear me saying more no's now. And I'm hoping that our friendship is going to be able to handle it. And I'm going to actually be asking for more help than I have in the past, because this is my work. And so you're kind of prepping them, and then you'll see what's going to happen. Don't be too sensitive either way. Like, just watch, let it play out, and notice it. But you should be having, you know, steady conversations, and have those conversations with confidence. It's not a good or a bad thing. It just is. All right. And then the other thing that I see all the time is, don't do this reactively. Don't do it reactively. Don't get mean. Don't, like, you know, don't start bad mouthing this person, or be really short with them. If you're really resentful and you're short or biting with them, then there's something, you've waited too long to have the conversation. So that is a good indicator for you that you need to show up and have that direct conversation. Do it very cleanly, and, you know, get yourself grounded and steady and in a place of love and compassion and connection, kind of, but also strength and courage. And get grounded and have the conversation. No bad mouthing to others. If you're talking bad to others, or you're bitching to your friends about it, you are off, and you need to ground yourself, and you need to go and respect their humanity and have the conversation with them.
Yeah, I think the idea of, like, I think I put up with this friendship for a long time, thinking, well, I want to be a good friend. Yeah. So I just kind of kept taking this bad behavior. And the truth is that if I want to be a good friend, I'm really going to tell you what's going on.
Right.
Yeah. You know, being a good friend isn't sitting here bad mouthing you.
Right.
Oh my gosh, or going along, like you just brought up for me, how many women's groups where there's a group of friends and one of them starts like complaining about their husbands or their partner, and all the other ones like, oh yeah, I hate that, he's such a jerk, I've seen him do that. That is not helping your friend. What's helpful to your friend is, hey, when he did that, what did you do? And, you know, actually, I think you kind of came off like, we need to be more comfortable with being honest with each other and loving, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, even as you said that, thinking about the idea of, if you're one of, you know, like, so if you're gossiping to me about Arlene, my job is to say, I think you need to talk to Arlene.
Yes.
Like, this isn't the place.
I love that. That's, you know,
That's right.
One of my groups with women, we had an agreement that if you bring an issue to somebody else, the agreement is that you're going to bring it back to the person, you know, like you can go to that friend to say, help me talk about this. I don't know how to say this. Am I off on this or am I not off? And then you got to bring that conversation back to the person. So I love that, Dee. Like, yeah, if somebody's coming to you and they're like bad mouthing your friends, you got to say, hey, I think you should go. You need to have this conversation with them. Love it.
The women, we need courage. We need courage to do this.
We do. And
courage and being willing to recognize that the rules about this that we were taught were really not helpful.
yeah,
We're letting them go. We're letting them go. We're going to do it in a different way.
Yeah.
And there's a different and a better way to do it for everybody, for us and for them.
Yeah.
It's much more empowering to do it this way.
So much more empowering. It's so much more respectful, so much more empowering. And you're only responsible for your side of it. You're only responsible for how you speak it. They are responsible for how they hear it. You are still going to have girls and women who are going to be like, I can't believe you were so mean. I can't believe you said that. That's about them. You just make sure that you said it clean and you were respectful and you were honest. And girls and women everywhere, we need to realize it's courageous to start taking in feedback. It's courageous to have healthy conversations. It's respectful to have honest conversations. It's disrespectful to not be honest. And that honesty's got to be done with a grounded, powerful strength, not with aggression, not with, no mean girls. We got to get rid of that whole mean girl mentality, or nice, quote unquote, nice girls who say nothing.
Right.
Both not okay.
Not mean, not sugarcoat, and not reactive. I would say those three things would be good to hold on to.
Love it.
And if you're not sure how to do it, get help. Ask somebody that you trust to, run it by them. Say, this is, I'm having this issue. This is what I want to say. How does that sound? Do you hear anything? Is anything coming through that I'm not aware of? Is something leaking? Some resentment leaking? I want to be really straight and respectful.
Love it. All right, let's go to challenge. What's the challenge?
Action.
Yes. Act on your decision. If you know you want to break this up, do it. Find a way to do it and get it done.
And do it with a clean energy, a grounded, powerful strength. You are holding your heart and their heart in your hands. No, you don't need to be mean about it. But have the conversation.
Yeah, and just because you are wanting to be the person to break up, you don't have to get on your high horse about how terrible they were or this or that or the other. It's kind of having compassion for yourself that you have stayed with it as long, and compassion for them for whatever reason they do what they do.
Right.
Yeah. No blaming them for your decision to break this up.
Mm-hmm. But do it. And I think that the idea of, and this doesn't work for me, I'm like, don't be wishy-washy.
Yeah.
Like when if your action is, so when I see you at a party, I totally want to be nice and civil. I just really don't want us to do things, just you and I anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Very straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
All right, here's to women rising. There's a lot we need to let go of, a lot of old garbage and trash and messages and cultural pressures and a lot of stuff we got to let go of.
Old roles. We have to really become aware of the roles that we've been taught are the right ones for us. They may have nothing to do with who we are.
Yeah.
Be able to let
go. Yeah. All right, everybody. Here's the Rising for Women podcast. If you are breaking up with a friend, you need to end a friendship or outgrew one. I hope this was helpful. You have questions, thoughts, comments, leave them. We'd love to hear them. And we look forward to talking to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you again for joining us this week. And always remember, you have the power to change the world for women by changing how you walk in it. I challenge you to choose one way to stand in your grounded, powerful strength this week and be part of the ripple of change.